For the most part, when it comes down to the My Little Pony Generation 5 discussion based around the articles of news that we have, it's generally positive and generally hype. But on the other side of the coin, there is a discussion that makes me very uncomfortable, and it's the matter of Sunny Star Scout being labeled as an activist pony and people cringing at the idea and using certain buzzwords surrounding that concept, and then people doing the exact same thing with pony segregation being part of the storyline in the movie. And for the most part, I feel like a lot of people just don't know what the hell they're talking about. And then on the other side of the coin, there are people that they know damn well what they're doing. They know what they're doing, but they're also fumbling the bag as well. So all around, there's just a lot of yikes going on, and I want to discuss my feelings on that yikes. So, season one is generally like an easy, fun romp, but Celestia sent Twilight off to Ponyville to go learn about friendship and stuff. And I would say around season two and onward was definitely when the elements of harmony started to get a lot more serious, and the lessons that the gang learned were definitely like a lot grander, I guess I would say. And that's kind of what led the rest of the show. And really, the things that the main six learned over the course of the show, they passed along to others, or for that matter, they may not have learned something, but they passed their kindness or whatever thing that they have to the table that represents the elements of harmony. And, they just help others, and then those others help others. And, that was kind of what the show did throughout its run. And over the course of time, you could definitely say that Twilight and the gang were activists and or ambassadors of friendship. Nothing too big, nothing too grandiose. They were just doing things in the name of just bringing people together and just doing the right thing. And I don't know what exact book Sunny has, but it's clear that it's definitely the friendship journals that were made throughout Generation 4's run. And all Homegirl's doing is looking into these notes that either Twilight or the main six wrote, and she's like, "Yo, we need to bring this shit back. It'd be nice to have a unicorn friend. It'd be nice to have a Pegasus friend. It would be nice for other people to experience this as well, other than me. Homegirl just wants Generation 4, and is that really a bad thing? I don't really think so." The thing that really ticks me off about this is we only have written statements. We don't have a trailer, for one, to get a good backstory on these two concepts. And for the first concept of the whole pony activist thing, there's two people who worked on Friendship is Magic on here, so I feel like they have a good general basis of the friendship ambassador thing the main six had, so I'm not even really worried about that concept alone, and I never really was worried about the concept. But when it comes down to the whole segregation thing, there's no real basis to stand on. There's no trailer to give us the backstory general idea. We don't have the movie itself, and if you want to get extra spicy, we don't even have a junior novelization to even have any basis to stand on as to whether or not the idea of pony segregation was handled correctly. So, really, the saddest part is there's no possible way we can have a good, really, statement or argument to really say, hey, they handled this correctly or badly. We don't have any of that. And due to that, we have channels like Clownfish TV, which I'm using that as a basis, mostly because it's the same stuff. The problem with the Clownfish TV statement and people kind of using that statement, whether or not they used it from Clownfish or they have the same general idea as Clownfish, they're fumbling the bag hard with this one. And it's absolutely insane. So I'm gonna let a few clips of Clownfish TV's argument be shown, and then after that, after I show the clips that I want to use, I'll explain my take on it because yikes.
Anyway, so that came and went, and now we had Friendship is Magic, which became very toxic because all the alt-right Yahtzees started watching
it became very toxic because the media said so.
Yeah, so now we're gonna make sure. that these ponies are good ponies.
Yes, and how are we going to do that? Oh, how we've done it since 2015. We're going to walk back equality and equal rights and everything else just to start all over again.
Yeah, this actually sounds really dismal.
It sounds like Twitter, trying to if Twitter was trying to undo all the shit they've done.
Yeah, so let's talk about the plot. I read this on comicbook.com and I about fell out of my chair. Now, there's been rumors that this was going to be a series focused on activism and diversity and inclusion.
Oh, that's exactly what it's going to be.
But it sounds like it's kind of racist.
Well, okay, just read what you're going to read.
Okay, so here we go. It's going to star Vanessa Hudgens, by the way, is going to be the main pony. For months, the conventional wisdom was held that the film will center on Sunny Star Scout, an outcast and young activist Earth pony who still sees hope in Equestria, where Twilight Sparkle's teachings on friendship and harmony have been replaced with paranoia and mistrust, and where all three species of ponies live segregated from one another. However, when she meets a lost unicorn named Izzy, the two embark on an adventure involving musical numbers, a jewel heist, conspiracy theories, and the world's cutest flying Pomeranian. What? As they travel to new lands while facing their fears and turning enemies into friends. Segregation.
Yeah. So wait, but wait.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah. So here's the write-up, guys. You ready? Here's the official synopsis. The unimaginable has happened. Equestria has lost its magic. Earth ponies, unicorns, and pegasi are no longer friends and now live separated by species. But idealistic Earth pony Sunny is determined to find a way to bring enchantment and unity back to their world. Teaming up with open-hearted unicorn Izzy, the pair travel to faraway lands where they encounter the likes of charismatic and brave Pegasi Pip and Zip and the ever-responsible fellow Earth pony Hitch. Their mission is full of misadventures, but these new best friends each possess their own unique and special gifts that may be just what the Ponyverse needs. Ponyverse now. To restore magic and prove that even little ponies can make a big difference. You mean like Twitter? Because let's be honest here. The vision, the mistrust, the whole segregation by species bullshit, you can track back to pretty much Twitter. Are they going to be split apart by Trotter instead of Twitter?
Trotter.
Because this was oh my God, this makes me so mad. So for the last 2 or 3 years, people like us have been calling out the bullshit, the divisiveness, the way they're trying to turn people against each other. They're trying to bring back like segregation laws and stuff like that, in California, so they can get away, justify with being racist towards, certain groups of people over others. And all this crap's going on, right? And now they're trying to go on about how all of these species were separated and they're all racist against each other and how they're going to unite each other again. So what, you're going to try to say this is how we're going to unite everybody again when Twitter turns and tries to unite everybody after they're the ones that caused this disruption in the first damn place?
Every pony is racist. They just don't know it yet. Systemic.
Because
Pegasi privilege. Yeah, this is a really...
For a kid's show?
For a kid's show. I mean, well, come on, or is this to lecture all the man babies, all the toxic men who watch the bronies?
This is exactly what people like us have been saying, that we need to be united again and not be separated because it's stupid. And until recently, there wasn't all these problems. They keep magnifying it, and it's mostly on Twitter, and they keep going on about, and the media, and they keep going on about how there's all these different issues and divisiveness. And yeah, there has always been some problems. I'm not going to say there hasn't, but they have been, significantly less than they've been the last few years. Well, that's what they're doing here. We're going from, friendship is magic and, fun adventures to that we're no longer friends because we're all racists. And it's shit, because people have been telling you guys, the media in general, that there's divisiveness going on, and it's just they're trying to make people hate each other. And thankfully, most people don't fall into this bullshit. I think the majority of people stay off of Twitter for a reason. But they keep trying, and now their show is how everybody's split apart because they're species this, and how they're going to bring each other back together again.
They should just call it My Little Pony Racism is Tragic.
There you go.
That's what they should call this. My Little Pony Racism is Tragic.
I'm more pissed than anything, because I'm like, we have been, people like us have been calling this shit out, and now that's going to be your whole show. It's like when Squid King said that time, it's like the people who want to always say that they're the hero, so they'll set their kitchen on fire on purpose, so they can go put it out and say that they're the ones that solved the problem, even though they caused the problem to begin with. That's what this reminds me of.
I don't think this is gonna go well for a number of reasons.
Are they trying to appeal to the trolls market right here? I mean, I'm serious.
Are they? Oh my God, no! We're trying to get away from the trolls. That's why it's all about, the systemic racism of Equestria. That's what this is about. This is the systemic racism of Equestria.
That's why kids just line up to watch this show. No, but seriously, the look of this pony here, besides the fact that you said if that was the activist, that would be it. It looks like it's a troll, from the Trolls franchise.
Actually, yeah, the whole art style looks more DreamWorks than it does.
Yeah, so I'm like, I tried to cash in on the whole Trolls thing right here, and I didn't even think about the fact that you said that. That was hilarious, but that wasn't my intention.
Why? Look, I got to go back to this. I got to go back to this write-up. So we're going to take the ending of Friendship is Magic, the positive ending of Friendship is Magic, and we're going to say that we went from that to a bunch of racism and segregation.
Right, because, like I said, Pegasi privilege.
I mean, this is horrible. Yeah, the teachings of friendship and harmony have been replaced with paranoia and mistrust.
So it's Twitter.
It's probably the media, the Equestria media.
It's literally Twitter and the media. I mean, this is an allegory for what really happened in our society.
That's exactly what this is going to be. That's exactly
how they're gonna fix it. Yeah. And then they're gonna be like, look, we fixed racism and segregation after the internet, the media, Twitter, and that caused a lot of the issues to begin with. I'm just like, what the hell? But that's okay because, we're doing pony racism and segregation and all that and, systemic whatever. But we're going to get a jewel heist, musical numbers, and a flying Pomeranian. That's why they have this meeting and they're like, here's what we want to talk about. We want to talk about systemic racism and how it affects people and how we need to be united again, even though we were before. And, but they're like, well, wait, that's great, but it has to be a kid's show. How are you going to appeal to kids? Well, there's going to be musical numbers and what do kids like? They like puppies. There's a flying Pomeranian and a joy heist and some tinfoil hat theories.
The Clownfish TV stands on this argument that whether or not, I don't know if people are repeating their arguments or they just so happen to agree with Clownfish TV's perspective, which could easily happen. It's really messy, and the Clownfish TV video was just hella messy. Like, I really can't understand where they're coming from. I even had to ask friends for help, and even they were confused on what their stance was. They understood their stance, same here, but like, the whole video is just kind of messy. So, I'm gonna talk about two things that I kind of got away from the video, but at the same time, it's just all over the place and just really messy as hell, and it's just fumbling the bag when we don't have a trailer, junior novelization, or even the movie. So, from what I gather, they brought up California's segregation stuff going on over there, which I had to look up because there was no example in the video of what's going on in California. The two examples that I found were pretty much people of color getting screwed over with low income housing, really just putting them in awful neighborhoods and bad living conditioning, both like house wise and neighborhood wise. So really, it's just like a bad housing income situation over there, which it's not even just a California issue. It's a issue all over when it comes down to housing and neighborhood income and things like that. Now, in an article I did read, it did bring up that they're trying to make sure that this isn't a problem. Of course, that's going to take a lot of time. And same goes for what they did also in the year 2020, where they just now passed anti-discrimination laws. Of course, that took time. I'm not really sure if they're trying to say that if they're going to be quote unquote realistic, it should take like X amount of years to get to that point. And like, if that's the thing that they're trying to get at, I don't like that. That's not really good. Like, I feel like their stance is, but Sunny in the first 15 minutes explained the backstory, and now she's off on her adventure trying to do positive things. You can't do that. You can't have your happily ever after in the span of an hour and 30 minutes, plus a TV show that'll expand more of this after the aftermath. And like the first season gets done in like a year. You can't do that. You have to have 50 seasons doing this. And it's just like, that's not realistic for a television series to follow in real life events. You certainly can reference it and do what you can dealing with one, a family and children audience and demographic, and secondly, how much time you have with this storyline. You know, you can't really expect a gigantic ass thing that's gonna span for like 50 or some odd years. That's unrealistic. Not to mention the target demographic. Friendship is Magic did a pretty good job with how long things took for positive change. And from what I'm looking at, knowing Generation 4's background and knowing the synopsis and ideas that they have for the movies and multimedia plans, it just seems like what they want to do is just simply, okay, here's the conflict, there's going to be aftermath, positive change continues. Friendship is Magic Generation 4 literally did this, so how is Generation 5 doing this? We don't have any, again, the big problem here is we don't have the physical media to even know what the hell they're doing, but if Generation 4 did this, but of course Generation 5 has to jazz it up because, you know, you can't really copy the same formula that Friendship is Magic did. People would dip the show and movie pretty fast if they did that. But like, if Generation 4 did positive change over the course of seasons and time, of course. And not to mention, again, it's a kid's show, so they're going to do small scale lessons that can have bigger implications, but, you know, they're smaller scale for children to understand. Like, for example, I'm going to use Trollstopia as an example. There was a whole episode of Poppy telling Trollstopia to try new foods from the different troll tribes. Poppy had a hard time wanting to try a new meal from the Techno Trolls. Things like that. I feel like Generation 4, or not Generation 4, but Generation 5 is going to do things on that scale. Or another Trollstopia episode I could give is like doing your best to understand others from a different walk of life. Simplistic things like that I'm sure an adult can notice probably bigger implications, but at the same time, it's still pretty generally small scale. But you know, there could be other underlining meanings. I use trolls as an example because I couldn't think of ponies on the top of my head. But you know, like these things shouldn't be a problem, and like expecting realistic expectations is just it's just asinine, really. So I had to do this part in multiple takes because this is making me uncomfortable. So what makes me kind of uncomfortable is I'm a person who's mixed. You can see it in my character design. Um, I don't really like that I'm seeing a fandom that was built on acceptance, bringing people from different walks of life together, being accepting of one another, understanding one another, shit like that. Because that's what the ponies taught in Generation 4. I don't like that I'm seeing content creators who are in the fandom, they know what the fandom looks like. It makes me super uncomfortable that I'm hearing these people who are big, well known in the fandom, kind of saying, ooh, segregation, activist pony, this is kind of woke if you ask me. Hope they don't fumble the bag. They're the ones fumbling the bag, you know? And it doesn't really help that most of them that are saying this are white content creators. And the thing that hurt me the most, I'm not, how should I say this? I'm not really hurt by Clownfish TV at all by any means. They say a lot of bullshit, and you all saw this if you're not used to Clownfish TV's content. But, you know, in the video, they're like, if you ask me, this pony movie sounds pretty racist. They didn't bring on a person of color's perspective to maybe say, hey, I agree with these two crazy white people. They didn't do that. They did not do that. And I'm gonna be real. Depending on how this movie goes, and if they pull a stunt like Trolls World Tour, I'm definitely afraid that white people are going to talk over people of color issues, depending on how far the pony movie decides to go with this, like Trolls World Tour did when it came down to the history of funk. So that made me incredibly uncomfortable. Well, but at the same time, which I've known this about the pony fandom, there are not pretty people in this fandom. But what, you know, makes me uncomfortable is I'm seeing people that are using the whole Clownfish TV perspective, whether or not they watch them or that was their perspective. So I think for the most part, that's their perspective, and they're not using Clownfish as a basis jumping off point. I can tell that they're uncomfortable about ponies kind of confronting them on how their toxic beliefs are. And it's clear to me that's how Clownfish TV feels as well. And kind of makes me uncomfortable. Like, if you know what this fandom's about and you've watched episodes, you've seen what the fandom looks like, all of this shit just does not make me feel comfortable in this community. And it shouldn't be like that. So for the most part, if you're in the community and you're saying, hey, this plot synopsis from random websites sounds pretty woke, maybe not say that if you're not in the camp of toxic belief mindsets. Don't do that. Depending on where the pony movie goes with the whole segregation thing, and if you're not a person of color, do your best to maybe ask someone's help on that one. To say, hey, how do you feel about this? I don't want to talk over you. Please do that. Don't let this be a situation where you're talking over people, and it's dealing with people of color issues. Do not do that. It doesn't really help that, from what I've heard from other fans, that this movie is a group of white people in the writers' room. So let's be mindful of all of these things, so that way you're not talking over people. So let's make this movie, when it comes out, let's make it, an easier talking environment to discuss the movie. Honestly, with people with toxic mindsets, I can't do anything about y'all. Hopefully, y'all have a change of heart at some point. But I can't do much about that. But for the people who, are not like this, reel it in. Don't say the woke thingy you want to say. Don't do that. Do your best to just be mindful of this movie and talking points and things of that nature. Know why you were in this fandom in the first place. Things like that. Hopefully I was very clear on this. I hope I didn't fumble the bag myself. But yeah.
I'm a bitch, I'm a boss. I'm a bitch and a boss, I'm a shine like glass. I'm a bitch, I'm a boss. I'm a bitch and a